as a 6-time pro world champion who has been doing this for decades, probably 3.5 decades, decent amount of time. During that time, I have taught so many seminars, taught so many classes, and done many private lessons. And as I go through and I instruct, I see the same mistakes time and time again that are stopping people from being able to improve those striking skills to what they're capable of and to really get good. You want to get good at striking, right? There's not too much worse to stay mediocre at than something where as a punishment you're going to get punched in the face or kicked in the head. We want to make sure we have things dialed in. So these common mistakes that I've seen time and time and time again, you want to make sure you're correcting them because they're very simple, but they're easy to forget because sometimes the body just wants to do things the wrong way. Quick example here, when I'm going to throw a straight punch and I go, okay, I want to maximize power, I start wanting to flare that elbow up. And while it might feel like the punch is more powerful, we have to remember we're exposing the whole torso as soon as we crank that elbow up. Plus, we're making it much easier for our opponent to see it's coming. So, well, on the pads, it might be fun to crack like that and boom like that. We have to remember there's a reason we throw a punch the correct way. Now, I want everybody to just bear with me a little bit today. My voice is very strained. I missed, I think, 2 of the last 3 days, even putting episodes out because being sick, I've been so fatigued. So if my voice cracks, I make some errors because my brain's just a little bit foggy. Bear with me, please. So let's get through a couple of the common errors that people make, and hopefully it'll help you dial in your striking skills. And keep in mind, these are things that I see over and over and over and over. Very first one, when we're throwing hooks. One of the most common errors that people don't even realize they're doing is keeping that elbow a little bit low. We want it lined up at the same height of the fist. This number one will maximize power, and it will also minimize the risk of you damaging that wrist, because that is one of the more common injuries in fight sports. Wrist injuries, wrist aggravation, and it's often going to come from throwing hooks with that elbow just a little bit too low. When we lift the elbow up, this arm can lock in. We can squeeze through the forearm, squeeze through the fist, and follow through with maximum power. So be very sure when you're throwing your hooks, and you might even have to be in a mirror. Remember, it's very good to do techniques in front of the mirror. It doesn't make you vain. Standing there and looking at yourself, turning sideways and checking your technique. We're doing it so we're not damaging ourselves and we're having correct technique. Elbow high. Throw it in the mirror. Check and make sure you're not just doing this. It's too low, right up there. And if you're struggling with this and you're going, oh, it feels like I keep forgetting, pop that shoulder up as you throw. It's a very easy way to, number one, protect yourself from oncoming punches to the jaw, but to number two, just get that elbow picked right up. So instead of throwing like this, pick those shoulders up. It'll make it so much easier. The next very, very common mistake that I see when people throw front kicks is them jamming their toes, going, oh, I keep hitting my toes when I throw my front kick, and it's the other person's fault because they keep dropping their elbows. No, that's not the case. Yes, you might be hitting their elbows. Yes, they might be frustrating you, but if you do your technique right, you're not going to jam your toes. I've never once jammed my toes. I've hit people's forearms, but I've never come up. Why does this happen? People are extending their leg out way too early. So instead of coming up and then pushing through, where there's no way I'm going to hit somebody's elbow unless they do this, people extend. And you can see from the side, hopefully, it means I'm more kicking upwards as opposed to out. Really think I'm picking it up, I'm chambering, I'm pulling this heel really tight as I lift as opposed to letting it flare out too early. Get to there, and then I snap through. And it'll take away all that fear you have of jamming those toes on elbows. And it's that simple idea that as I lift, I pull my heel back a little bit. Now, this is over-exaggerated. Obviously, you don't need to do this, but that idea is going to make it so much easier for you to get that extension straight out and to poke through. And like I said, nobody holds their elbows like this. They'll hold them like this. So the reason you're jamming your toes is you are kicking upwards. You also might not be chambering your toes far enough back. So if you kick like this versus that, that's a problem. So you can, of course, practice this motion. Look what I do with my back foot. I stretch those toes and I lift and I just kick the ground a few times, holding that position with my toes. If you feel like I get to here and now I come and I kick and oh, my toes are hitting the ground, you haven't learned how to control that position with your foot. Foot extended, toes pulled back. Very common mistakes that I see people make. The next one that I want to talk about is a round kick, whether it be leg level, body level, head level. And I've talked about this before on the channel. It is the shoulder and the hip both not going forward, one going forward and one moving back. This will decrease your power. It'll overstretch your legs, making it almost impossible to kick at head level. Have everything move forward together on the upper body, as opposed to my hip going forward and my shoulder pulling back. Very, very awkward to do. Very, very hard to get up to head level, as opposed to throwing it correctly, where the whole body shifts. And I turn my torso to the side in its entirety. Last one that I want to talk about for today is ripping down to the body. The very common mistake that most people make is they think, okay, I'm going to attack the body, therefore I'm going to bring my head off the center line. And then I'm going to throw. Head off the center line is great. Boom. But then when I go to throw my shot, boom, I come right back. I don't keep my head off the side for the whole time. It's different on straight punches, right? I can throw down to the body, I can throw. I do not throw a hook and do it over here. I might drop this direction, head off the center line, that's fine. But people go, okay, I'm gonna throw the body hook, I'm gonna get my head out of the way. Yeah, no. We wanna have our head over top our hips or a little drop the opposite direction if you want. But making sure that when you throw your body shots, boom, the head is high. If I wanna drop to the side first, that's fine. And then when you go to throw against somebody, you're not going, okay, I have no power when I throw. That is when you get countered. That is the mistake. They do not fear the body shot because you're not throwing hard enough, and therefore they see it come, they'll take it, they'll hit you in the head, and you go, oh, body shots just don't work. They absolutely do when you stay structured. Keep one hand up, get that shoulder high, hit, boom, down to the body, and get those hands back up. There are some common mistakes that if you can sort those out, you will feel your skill level improve. And we're gonna call it there because my voice is dying out and my throat is getting very dry. I'll see you guys back here soon.